Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, my go-to for building a website and online shop. Hello my darlings, in today's video I'm starting yet another new oil painting and another new video series detailing the process of this oil painting. If you'd like to see several hours of real-time tutorials where I recorded voiceover as I was working, along with hundreds of hours of exclusive content and monthly art rewards, feel free to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/happydartist. This piece is for another upcoming group show at a gallery. I keep agreeing to do group shows every month or so because they keep me painting. Without these external deadlines, I can sometimes lack the self-discipline to continuously create new pieces. So my artist hack for myself is just to say yes to projects that will force me to keep painting. For this show, we were asked to pick a color and create a piece that is predominantly in that color. Since I've been painting a lot of warm neutrals lately, I thought it would be fun to pick pink and see what I can come up with. My goal is for the subject to have pink hair, iridescent pink makeup, and she would also be crying a single glittery tear. So it'll have bright and joyful colors juxtaposed against a sad and moody expression. Hopefully it'll turn out well. After doing the concept sketch on a sheet of Xerox paper and using a mechanical pencil, I took a photo of it with my phone and opened the photo up on my computer. Using Adobe Photoshop, I cropped and stretched the photo into an 11:14 aspect ratio because I'm going to be painting this on an 11:14 inch panel. When I first made the sketch, I only approximated my best guess for an 11:14 aspect ratio, and sometimes I can get pretty close, but this time I was way off. The piece was way too square, so I had to stretch the drawing a bit to make it fit an 11:14 ratio. I also lightened the drawing so that it would print out as faint gray lines. This way, when I transfer by drawing on top of it with a black ballpoint pen, my pen lines could be easily visible. The final step is to resize the image to be exactly 11:14 inches at 300 pixels per inch. That way, when I print it out, I can guarantee the print will come out exactly 11:14 inches instead of just an 11:14 aspect ratio stretched to fit whatever size paper I'm using. I also made sure to create a border around the image so that I can easily cut it out later. Now it's time to print. I'm using a 13x19 inch Hammermill cardstock premium color copy paper that I found on Amazon because my fine art print paper is too thick and costs too much to just use for transfers. For transfers, the thinner the paper, the better. After printing, I'm just going to cut the image out of the paper with a pair of scissors. A paper cutter can work well too, but I thought it would make for a more visually appealing shot if I cut it with scissors while standing hunched over so I could angle myself towards the camera in a very uncomfortable position. Okay, now it's finally cut. It fits perfectly on top of my 11:14 inch panel, and now we can cover the back with charcoal. This part can get messy, so I highly recommend gloves. I'm using these square charcoal sticks from Blick, and all I do is turn the stick on its longer edge and draw circles until I fill up the entire page. Then I use my hands to rub the charcoal powder and deeply embed it into the paper, which is why wearing gloves is a great idea. Since my printer paper is a bit on the thicker side, I found that I need to do 2 coats of the charcoal powder instead of just 1. It's okay if charcoal gets on the table or even your clothes, to be honest, as charcoal is very easy to clean. I just like to avoid getting it on my hands because it dries out my skin so much that working with charcoal for just 1 year in school caused my hands to age like 3 decades. Okay, now it's finally time to start transferring. First, I tape the top edge of my paper onto my Gesso board panel using artist tape so that I can easily flip the paper up to check that my transfer lines look good. Using a basic black ballpoint pen, I transfer the lines by drawing them instead of tracing them, meaning I try to use natural gestures and create intentional strokes as if I'm drawing this from scratch, rather than tracing each line robotically without paying attention to what I'm tracing. When you have a drawing mindset instead of a tracing mindset, you can even utilize the transfer stage as an opportunity to improve your drawing. After finishing the transfer, I realized that there were some distracting dark blobs of charcoal powder deposited onto the face, likely due to me resting my hand on the right side of the paper when I was transferring the left side. So the lesson learned today is to use a maul stick when I transfer next time. This is what I love about oil painting. Each new piece yields at least one useful lesson to make the next one easier and better. So to fix this, I first tried using a kneaded eraser to remove the spots. Kneaded erasers are nice because they don't leave any eraser shavings behind, but the charcoal blobs were too powerful to be erased and I was getting impatient. So I just took a charcoal pencil and hand drew some darker lines to reinforce my transfer lines. I thought if the lines were darker, then the messy splotches would look lighter in comparison. The point of the transfer isn't to make a perfect standalone drawing. It's to give myself enough information to aid in the painting process. So even if there are some dirty smudges, it's okay to leave them because the entire thing will be covered with oil paint eventually anyway, as long as the smudges don't detract from the legibility of the visual information. After transferring, it's time to take this panel outside and spray it with Fixative. I'm using my favorite Winsor & Newton Artist Fixative. Since I drew directly onto the panel with a charcoal pencil, I'll need 2 coats of Fixative to prevent the lines from smudging. And we are now wrapped up for part 1. Believe it or not, this preliminary beginning process took me a full day, from morning until night. And that doesn't even include the days and weeks of time searching for and gathering reference photos before I had a game plan for the concept sketch. Oil painting takes so long, even before the actual painting part begins. But I love it and I'm addicted to it, so I guess all this hassle is totally worth it. Thank you all so much for watching, and please stay tuned for part 2 coming up next month. And of course, you guessed it, my eternal never-ending sale is still going on in my shop, so if you'd like 20% off your order of prints and originals, just enter the code HOLIDAY at happyd-artist.com. And if you're interested in learning more about how to paint and draw, I have lots of art educational content on my Patreon page, including exclusive video tutorials, step-by-step photo tutorials, live streams, podcasts, and even surprise art gift boxes. All available at patreon.com/happydartist. I'd love to have you join my Patreon family. A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting the art community. Squarespace is the best platform to create a professional website and online shop. Their beautifully designed templates are easy to use for beginners and look great on both desktop and mobile. I've sold my art through Squarespace for almost 10 years, and I can attest to the quality of their online commerce features, whether you want to sell digital or physical items. They also provide useful analytics that help you make the most of your online business. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/happydartist to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Also, if you want to check out more artworks, works in progress, and just random daily artist adventures, feel free to check out my Instagram, and you can follow me at the handle @happydartist.